As millions of Americans are traveling over this long holiday weekend, many were not able to make their destinations as hundreds of flights have been canceled. The weekend of holiday travel also comes as U.S. gas prices reaching another record high now at $4.62 a gallon, 50% higher than the cost of a gallon of gas a year ago. Joining us now to react, co-founder of FreePressFail.com, Corinne Clark, and host of 13-Minute News Hour, Bobby Eberle. Bobby, let's talk about the airline travel. This is a repeating problem because they don't have enough staff. Because during the pandemic, they laid off a bunch of people. And here's what bugs me, Bobby, is we paid them tens of billions of dollars as an industry. And what did they do? They took the money, kept everything operating, and laid off or retired early a lot of their staff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they are stuck right now. And the thing is, it reflects so poorly on the airlines. There are complaint after complaint after complaint. It also, though, reflects poorly on the Biden administration, because what are people hearing? I mean, Delta put out a statement saying there's supply chain issues with vendors and then also COVID. Well, when you talk about supply chain and you talk about COVID, all it does is scream Biden. And although the anger is directed short term at the airlines, it's just more of this piling up that's hurting Biden and his administration and is really going to hit in the November elections.
Yeah, and I know you can definitely blame Biden, but I think they got some money from the Trump administration, too. And I guess my point is that it's still our tax money. It's our tax money that made them survive, Corinne. But we have to suffer now the mistakes that they made. And we should be part owners. We're not, but we should be part owners.
Yeah, and you're not getting a lot of sympathy from anyone at these airlines when they do cancel your flight and your whole day, whole weekend is messed up. But I think Bobby is absolutely right. These inconveniences, whether it's fair or not, Democrats are in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. And when our gas prices are high, people can't get baby formula, they can't travel freely. This doesn't feel like the America people want to live in, and that is going to be a hard hole for Democrats to dig themselves out of by November.
Yeah, it feels like a third world country sometimes now, doesn't it? I mean, also, and I hate to pick on people that are working really hard, but it seems like every place you go to eat, they're understaffed. It seems like a lot of people that deal with the public are kind of rude to you. And you can't get your baby formula. Gas is just wildly high. It does feel sometimes. Now, I'm blessed to live in this country, but it does seem the pattern is not good, Corinne.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are feeling that exact way, Bob. I know I do. And I cannot believe the shift. It feels like in the last 2 years, this country has become almost unrecognizable, and I don't think anyone imagined that it would shift so dramatically, so fast. So I think you're not alone in feeling that way.
Yeah, your thoughts there, Bobby?
Well, I want to echo what Corinne said, because her comment was right on the money. You can talk about data, you can talk about statistics all you want, but how are the American people feeling right now? They feel like they live in a third world country. Something is not right when you have to show your papers, as in COVID passports, or you don't have things on the shelves. There's no food. There's no other supplies. Gas is going out of control. It really doesn't look like America, and people are going to put the blame right on the Democrats.
Yeah, and that's what's coming in November. This is going to be a tsunami if they're not careful. Bobby, you're hosted the 13-Minute Hour. I think I was on with you one time, which I really enjoyed. And what does that mean, 13-Minute News Hour? What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, that means you get an hour's worth of news in 13 minutes. I mean, no offense to Newsmax. Bob, you do a great job here, but when people are in a rush, come check it out.
Right, and I would advise to do the same. So, Corinne, final thoughts here.
Well, I really hope. I had a flight canceled this morning. I'm really hoping to get to my destination tonight, so we'll see how this is going. But thanks, Joe Biden. It's been a rough travel weekend.
Yeah, that's one thing you can say about this administration. They don't have a lot of solutions, no matter if they cause a problem or not. They don't have solutions. Corinne Clark, Bobby Eberle, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, we'll try to wrap up everything we can here. Democrats reportedly coming after more than just the money in your wallet. It's time for our round-robin weekend review. Our panelists are here today with us. Former Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam, a retired gunnery sergeant from the U.S. Marine Corps, and Newsmax analyst Jessie Jane Duff, and host of the 13-minute News Hour, Bobby Eberle. Thank you so much for coming on today. What we're talking about here is Biden's speech that he gave, an impassioned speech last night. Let's get you caught up. Here's that moment.
More kids than on-duty cops killed by guns. More kids than soldiers killed by guns. For God's sake, how much more carnage are we willing to accept? How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough, enough?
Jessie Jane Duff, what did you get from last night's speech from the president as he's calling for assault weapons ban, high-capacity magazine ban, so much more?
No solutions, that he essentially just wants to ban guns and pull the emotional heartstrings of fellow Americans. To say that more Americans have died than soldiers and Marines and sailors, I think that is unequivocally false. When you look at the thousands of men and women that died in Iraq and Afghanistan who were permanently disabled, I mean, what an insult to compare it to those of us that have served this country versus Americans that have a right to defend themselves. It's just an outrageous claim that he is going to go after the weapons, and he offers not one single solution in fortifying schools. He was president, he was the vice president along with President Obama during a mass shooting. Why didn't they take care of this then? You know, this moral outrage is just for votes and to move the needle so that people think Republicans are heathens and Democrats are the saviors.
And Republicans are rather pushing to read, or to recognize rather, the Second Amendment. Here in that it shall not be infringed. Here is President Biden on the Second Amendment, and then I will go to Jonathan Gilliam.
The Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and purchase a lot of weaponry.
Jonathan, your thoughts?
Well, you can go buy a cannon if you have a license for it. That's a reality. The Second Amendment is absolute, says it shall not be infringed. The reality is the Second Amendment, its main purpose was to protect the citizens from a tyrannical government. And listen, let's not confuse impassioned speech with an act. That was an act. That was a performance that Joe Biden did. Nothing, as Jessie Jane Duff just said there a minute ago, nothing, and when I mean nothing has been done to prevent school shootings, other than right before an election, they start talking about banning guns so they can get votes. The reality is bad guys can get guns from the very moment that they were created. They will always be here. We will not get rid of them. So instead of taking the guns away from the lawful people who never used them, why don't we concentrate on fixing things? We just don't do that. I've been offering for over a week now to do free threat assessments to teach schools how to do their own threat assessments free. I could do every school in the United States in 1 4-hour Skype or Zoom meeting. No one has even responded that's a politician. And I've proven it. I've taught cops, I've taught thousands and thousands of people how to do this. Nobody's interested. A cougar, listen to this, a cougar walks into a school in California. That right there tells you that no one is taking school safety seriously, because that cougar was not armed with a gun. It was just looking for a place to sleep. It walked right in the room and could have mauled or killed just as many children who were killed with a gun if they would have been in that room.
A great point. I want to get to, in terms of time limits on the segment, I want to get to other things that happened this week, the economy and inflation, gas prices. I want to play this, Steve Ratner, on overstimulating the economy, and then I'll go to Bobby. Here's that.
Look, we're all paying the price for having overstimulated this economy during the pandemic and putting too much money into people's pockets, which created a lot of this inflation. And there's no free lunch here. Now we're all going to have to pay the price.
And the president spoke on that earlier today on the jobs that were added, 390,000 jobs. He pointed to a healthy economy, but also went to blame, again, President Vladimir Putin and the Putin price hike, as it's being dubbed from this administration? Bobby Eberle.
Right. Yeah. Putin is always the go-to guy, right? But the thing is that even with the jobs report, you alluded to it in your earlier segment. This May jobs report is the worst report in a year, in a whole year. It did not meet what we should be doing as far as getting people back to work. One, because we kept paying them stimulus checks and stay-home checks, and they say, well, I'm not even going to go back to work. But the thing is, anytime Biden talks about job creation, it's just filling jobs that were already there, and he's actually doing a poor job of doing it. And with inflation, he can talk about taxing the rich all he wants. This is a monumental tax on everybody in American society. And when people have to balance filling up their tank with other necessities, it's a bad spot.
Like eating as well. Yep. Gas prices record high to end the week on that, 476 average. Jonathan Gilliam, Jesse Jane Duff, Bobby Eberle, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your weekend. We appreciate that.
All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.